Pardon. Give me a minute. Yes, we are live. Pungodi?
Okay.
Pardon. Pungodi live-ல இருக்கோம், நீங்க பேசலாம்.
ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணலாமா?
எஸ்.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். நமது அட்லாண்டா மாநகர தமிழ் சங்கம் நடத்தும் GATS யூத் புட் கேம்ப் ஃபார் பைத்தான் ப்ரோக்ராமுக்கு வந்திருக்கும் அனைவருக்கும் மிக்க நன்றி. The GATS youth committee, we are continuing boot camp for young kids going to middle schools and high schools. This year, we are our new initiative program this year actually. Since we are yesterday, we are having started boot camp for multiple subjects, and it will be continue for next few weeks actually. Hope most of you are learning new things and enjoying session. And I would like to invite GATS Vice President, Mr. Swaminathan, to speak about this Python program and about the centers. Thank you.
Thank you, Pungadi. Anevarakkum vanakkam, and I welcome all the kids, who are aspiring kids. I would say, at the young age they wanted to learn programming. So Python is one of the key ones, and which is easy to learn. So I think a totally of like 41 registrations for it. So the real success, the thing is whatever we are doing, as a part of GATS, it's a part of giving back to the community and to shape our kids' future, because technology is everything, right? So and I think our kids are on top of it. So I welcome all, and I want to talk about the youth committee a little bit. The kids, I see Jaishnav, Ashwin, right, and I've seen Jaishnav. He did a presentation last year in front of SP Kalyamurthy Ayya. That was the first. He was kind of little bit started, and he really did well. Good to see him coming back and giving his contribution to our Tamil community, right? And another, I have a request to all the parents, right? This is GATS is it's a fully volunteer driven organization. We are spending our time for our kids' future, and every volunteer, our tech team is doing like lots of videos every week. So அவங்க தொடர்ந்து வேலை செஞ்சுட்டே இருக்காங்க. ஸோ உங்ககிட்ட பேரண்ட்ஸ் கிட்ட கேட்கறதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணுதான், நீங்க கண்டிப்பா மெம்பர்ஷிப் எடுங்க, சங்கத்தை சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுங்க. The more united we are, we can stand up and do a lot of things. Even that, and I'm very proud of these kids, Ashwin and Jaishnav. Really, really proud of you guys. And futurely நிறைய kids participate பண்ணுவாங்க அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு இது. And then youth related sessions, Kritika பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. Please reach out to her. Pungadi, she's doing the boot camp. So we want to build a very good future for you guys, right? And thank you for being a part of it. Youth committee plays a big role in it. Yeah. And herewith I welcome Jaishnav pati solna appadina. He won the 3rd place in the state level competition in robotics. And about Ashwin, is very much qualified to be a part of this Python. He has won the state level competition. Ashwin, that's a great thing. So I welcome you both to take forward this session for our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle. Sorry. Okay, so we thank our parents and GATS for giving us this opportunity. I am Jaishnav Vijay Kumar.
I'm Ashwin Kumaran.
And we're going to be doing Python class session 1.
All right, to begin with, what is Python? Well, Python is a programming language. A programming language is basically the language you use if you want to communicate with computers. And you can use this language to tell computers certain tasks for them to do. In this course, we will be learning the basics of Python. if you learn Python, the benefits would be that you can build complex programs to automate simple tasks. You can develop artificial intelligence and even learn machine learning. And even though Python is super beginner friendly, it can help you learn more complex programming languages in the future, such as Java, C++. Python is truly like the foundation of all programming languages, and it encourages that people learn Python at a young age if they want to have a successful career.
Okay, so where we'll be learning Python. So there's this online service called REPL. So if we go to the browser here, type in repl.it. I'm going to do repl.it/sign up because that's the page you want to go to. Once you go there, and then create a username, email, and then password. Don't click on I am a teacher, then you can sign up or just sign up with Google. So once everybody's done with that, I'd like every one of you to say that you've signed up. Like unmute and then say that you've signed up.
You can tell us if you have any trouble signing up as well.
Yeah. Once you sign up, you should reach a screen like this. So no, not like this. Let me go to my hand. Like this. Yeah. It's gonna be like this. I want students to unmute themselves and tell me once they've signed up into repl.it.
I signed in.
Nice.
I signed up.
I signed up.
Excellent.
I signed up. It's asking your skill level. What do you do in that?
Just type in whatever you
Type
want.
in,
Really.
yeah,
You just have to get to this page here.
Yeah, just get to this page.
I signed up.
I signed up.
How many more left? Is everyone in? Or
No.
right.
Yeah.
I signed up.
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 Is that everyone? Right. Ashwin, did your brother sign up? You did?
Yeah.
Okay, should I just...
signed up.
Okay, I'll start. Okay, so
I signed up.
okay, once you're in this page, click on New REPL, and then click on Python, and then you can name it whatever you want here. Name it whatever, like, I mean, you would want to name it like Python session 1, and then create a REPL.
But what do you do when it says your skill level?
How do you sign up?
Ashwin, did your brother sign up? You have to go to repl.it/search setup. Okay, so once you're in this page, click on New REPL, and then click on Python, And then you can name it whatever you want here. Name it whatever, like, on one you want to create like Python second one, and then create a repo.
Wait, do we leave it at public repos or do we have to change it to private?
Leave it
Public
up.
is all right.
Leave it up public. So everyone signed up, right? And then, so remember, after you sign up, click on new REPL, Python, and then name your REPL. Don't click on Python 2 or 3, just Python. Name it whatever, and then you can press create REPL once everyone's. Because like we'll be showing you guys examples in REPL, so then you guys can like note the examples down as well. Part shouldn't be that. Shouldn't take that. Use REPL, Python, name it.
How did you get to the create new REPL page?
It's right here. Can you see it? The new REPL.
Okay, thanks.
Click it and then Python, name it, and then create. I'm thinking everyone did it. So, all right, so Ashwin and I have it shared over here. Have one shared, so I'm not gonna do a new one right now. So, okay, so you guys should be at this screen. So while we're going over the stuff that we're gonna teach you guys can like write down the examples that we show you. Like, so we're gonna start. All right, Ashwin.
And Jaishnav, can you zoom in a little?
No, let it be like this. Is actually good.
All right, fine.
There's like okay.
First of all, is anyone not signed in? Can you just tell us if you're not signed in?
Anyone that
Right.
hasn't signed in or made a new record.
I'm not signed in.
All right.
Oh,
It's
Where are you?
loading.
Where are you right now? Oh, it's loading. All right. Okay. We'll wait.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
After it finishes loading, make the new REPL. The new REPL thing is up here.
இல்ல அவங்க கொடுத்ததா இல்ல நீயே
இல்ல நானே சொன்னேன்
என்ன கொடுத்த
கிரியேட் பண்றதுக்கு சும்மா 1434
It's still loading for you or whoever. Okay.
30 people.
இல்ல
Let's start with the. Just once it finishes loading, just like get to this page. Press new REPL, Python, and then name it whatever, and then create the REPL. Okay. Let's start. Okay.
Right. Let me assume we're good. All right. All right. So the first thing we're going to be learning on Python.
அது மெயில்ல லாகின் பண்ணி தான் போகணும்.
So the first thing we're going to be learning in Python are what are called print statements, or the print function. So basically, what the print function allows you to do is it allows you to write words or numbers on the screen. So basically, you can use this function to write something on the screen, and this is the most basic function in Python, and it's super easy to learn. So like all functions in Python, there's a certain syntax you have to follow. So a syntax is basically like the way you have to write it so that Python understands what you're talking about, all right? So the syntax, I'm going to go over it in REPL. So All right. So if you see right here, the syntax for writing a print statement is first you write the word print, all lowercase print, and then you have an open parentheses and a closed parentheses like this. Can everyone see? Can everyone see well what I'm writing here?
Feel free to ask
Yeah.
questions.
All right. Feel free to ask questions like anytime. Just like unmute yourself and just ask questions, all right? So print and then open parentheses, close parentheses. And then inside this parentheses, you can write whatever you want to display onto the screen. By the way, the screen I'm talking about is this black thing on the right. Basically, what's your program show on the screen? This is the black thing right here. So inside this parentheses, so I'm just gonna type in something basic. Let's say, hello world, right? It's the most basic thing you can write. So inside the parentheses, I written this world, hello world, and I'm gonna run this. Now, when I actually run this, it's gonna give us an error right here. It's error, and the error basically says syntax error, invalid syntax, right? So what does that mean? What that means is that whenever you're writing something in Python and you're writing something in the print statement, if it's a word like hello world, like that's a sentence, right? That's a word, a couple of words. So you put that around quotation mark there, and a question mark at the end of the sentence, right? Like this. Now, it doesn't matter if you're using single quotes or double quotes. Just make sure that there's quotations around the word. And this will basically tell Python like, oh, we're printing out, so I'm going to print out just hello world. All right. And that's what Python does. So if I'm going to run this program right here, boom, right here, it says hello world. And this is the most basic thing in Python. And it's also the only thing you can do to display things onto the screen. Make sure you remember the syntax. And it's super easy to remember. Just make sure print, open parentheses, close parentheses. And if it's a word, put it around quotation marks. That's it. Questions? All right, moving on.
Okay, the next thing we're going to be learning are data types in Python. So data types are items in Python that have certain attributes. There are 4 commonly used data types. So the first one are strings. That's what Ashwin mentioned. Whenever he printed out a string. They're words, letters together, and they have to be put into quotations. The next data type, integers. Integers are positive or negative numbers. I mean, some people might have learned this in school, in like middle school, right? And yeah, it's the same as here. So integers are positive or negative numbers. The next thing are floats. Floats are decimal numbers, positive or negative as well. And then there are Booleans. Booleans are true or false statements. So if you're printing out a Boolean, like if you're printing out something, the answer is always going to be true or false for Booleans. And we're gonna talk about that in session 2 more. So I'm not going to talk about Booleans that much. I'm going to show you guys in REPL. So this right here is a string, whatever Ashwin showed you guys. Printing out a string, hello world. The next thing, what's the next data type that we talked about? Anyone? No? Integers, right? Integers can be positive, negative numbers. So you can print 3 as a number. You can print out negative 456. These don't have quotation marks. They're not strings. So then also floats, like I talked about floats. Print out floats. Float can be like 5.64 decimal float. You can also print out the negative number. Negative 3.13. So if we print this out right here, you get hello world is a string, right? These 2 are integers, positive integer, negative integer. These 2 are floats, positive decimal number, negative decimal number. So those are the data types. So strings, integers, floats, and then Booleans we'll go over in the next session.
All right. First of all, any questions about data types?
Yeah.
Anything need to be clarified? All right. So next thing we're going to be learning are called variables. And variables are arguably the most important thing to learn in Python. So, okay. So a variable, what it is, think of variable like a storage, right? So basically, when you have a storage, you're going to put some things inside of a storage. And then also you're going to be able to take them out whenever you need it. So variable is kind of like a storage in which you can put in certain data types, like you can put in strings or you can put in numbers inside of a variable. And then you can use that whenever you need to in your program. So why is this variable so important? Basically, it allows your coding experience to be simpler. Where instead of typing in the entire string or typing in the entire integer, you can just assign that to a variable and then you can just type in the variable. It's super simple. And obviously there's a syntax to this. I'm going to show you in REPL right here. All right. So I'm just gonna delete some things here. All right. So syntax for a variable. First, you write in the name of the variable like this. And this variable name, it can be whatever you want. Like, for example, you can have this, like, say, I don't know, ice cream, right? It'll still work, right? You just have to have some sort of a name in it. For the simplicity of this course, we're just going to go with variable one because that's easy to understand. But remember that this name can be anything you want. And you might notice why, if you look really closely, you might notice I'm putting in underscore right between variable and one right here. That's because if I don't put this in right here, it becomes two different things. Like it becomes variable and then one. And obviously a thing can only have one name. Like you only have one name. You don't have multiple different names. And the same thing for a variable, it can only have one name. So to make it seem like the variable has one name, we just put an underscore or anything between this, right? You don't even need a space. You can just keep it like that. But again, for simplicity, I'm going to put a little underscore right here. And we have a variable called variable one, right? And there's an equal sign right here. Basically, after this equal sign, you're going to have to, you say whatever you want to say, okay? So I'm going to take this hello world that's in this print statement, this string right here. I'm going to take it and I'm going to put this right here. So what does this mean? So Python basically goes through this and it's like, okay, so there's a variable called variable one. And what does this equal? It equals this string called hello world. So what Python does is like, okay, so now variable one is hello world. So whenever we mention variable one in our code, Python remembers like, oh yeah, variable one is hello world. So it replaces the variable with the thing it's assigned to. And to show you that, I'm just gonna print out variable one right here in this print statement right here. And this shouldn't actually change anything. We're still printing out hello world. It just has a different name. So if I run this program right here, you can see on the right, it still says hello world on the right here on the output screen. The only thing that's changed is how we name it. So instead of saying hello world in the print, now we're saying variable one. And obviously it's not limited to strings. You can do this with integers as well. So I'm gonna have another variable called variable two. I'm gonna set this equal to 3. And now instead of 3 here, I can put variable 2. And I can do the same thing with the float or the final integer. I mean the decimal number at the bottom here. 5.64, I'm just gonna take that out right here. 5.64. Now if I type in variable 3 right here and I press run, nothing's changed. It's just now that we're assigning these numbers, these floats, these strings, we're just assigning them under another name. And over this course, you'll see how useful variables become in other situations. We're actually going to go over an example of how variables are used next slide. Just remember that these are very, very useful in Python. All right? Any questions?
So when I tried it, I got like an error, like a syntax error, I think.
Hello, Ashwin? Ashwin, are you?
You might have accidentally got kicked out or something.
Just frozen. You got an error or something by doing. Wait, so what you do wrong? Can you?
So for the variable 1, I did the exact same thing, and then when I put for the print for number 5, when I put variable 1, it says like trace back most recent call last bio mini.
You're on REPL, right? REPL.
Yeah, REPL. Yeah.
Typed in. I mean, you can name the variable whatever you want, like Ashwin said, right? So you just name the variable. You can name an X if you want. Print. Just say X. So hello world. Remember quotations and words in there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Ashwin's still there.
I think he left the meeting.
Left.
Because when you type in his name in participants, it doesn't show his name.
One second, I'll be. Yeah, I'll like call him and ask if something happened.
I got an error as well.
Wait, what? What error?
I got the same syntax error when I.
For hello world, the first variable?
Yeah.
Me too.
You put your words in quotations.
I did.
Okay. You set it equal to something. I'm telling you, you don't have to type in variable 1. You can type any name.
Okay.
And set it equal.
I put variable _1 is equal to print hello world.
When you made the new repo, did you click on Python? Just Python.
Yes.
Did you click on the language? Okay. And this should work. Look. Did you put it in parentheses, variable 1? Did you type in the same exact name? No spelling mistakes. Whatever you put for the variable, you just gotta print. So
yeah.
These two have to match right there.
Wait, does the print have to be in lowercase?
Yes. Yes, they have to be in lowercase. Okay, Ashwin's back. I think
it's still not working though.
I just saw him right next to me.
Yeah, mine's is working now.
Okay, nice.
Mine just also says syntax error.
Hello? Hello?
Oh, you're back? Okay, nice. What happened?
I'm sorry, my
working.
The Wi-Fi? Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I fixed the errors for the.
Oh, you fixed it? Thanks.
They just you forgot to mention how the capital letter P. That's the only.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
Fine.
Sorry,
All right,
guys.
let's move on. Any other questions? Or we're gonna...
When I was trying to do the first line of code you typed in, I tried that on my iPad, but it's like it's saying syntax error.
Can you, I don't know if you can copy. Can you type it into the chat, the error into the chat?
Yeah, sure.
Okay then. Wait, Ashwin, I can't access the chat. Why don't you look at it, okay?
Look at what? Yeah, okay.
Chat. I can't. I don't know where the chat is. I can't find it.
I got an error. It says syntax error, invalid syntax.
No, syntax. You typed it in wrong.
Oh.
Did you put capital letter P? Don't put a capital letter P. All lowercase for print. And also, don't do it on your iPad. Do it on a computer.
Okay.
That'll make it easier. Okay, you don't need to name them variable if it's like too long or something. You can name this.
I'm sorry, if it's too long, you can name them, like I told you, you can name them whatever you want. You can name them A, you can name them B, you can name them whatever you want.
Yeah, so like if you see X is equal to hello world here, print X, run it, same thing's gonna happen. Hello world.
Yes, mine worked finally.
Okay, nice. So that's everyone. No more questions. Can we go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Any more errors, type them in chat, all right?
Okay, next we're going to be talking about user input. This is one of my favorite things in Python. It's a way to ask the user. The user is the person who's going to use the code, whoever's going to run the code, right? Like you're playing a game, right? You're the person playing the game. You're the user. Can everyone go on mute?
If you're gonna talk, can you please mute? I mean, if you're asking a question, of course. But if you're gonna talk, can you please mute?
Okay, so the way to ask the user. So the user, if you're playing a game, you're the user. You're the one using the program. So you can ask the question and you can get information from it. So this is what the syntax for user input looks like for asking a question. So I will show you that in REPL. Let's take this off. Okay, so let's ask someone what your favorite color is. How you do that? Input. You have to say input with parentheses. Inside the parentheses, quotations because it's a string, right? The string because words together. So what is your color? Let's ask that question. And then let's put a colon space like that. Enter. And then let's print out I like that color. Anyone know why this is an error right now? Anyone?
It doesn't have the quotation marks, I think.
You are correct. It's a string, so it must have quotation marks. It's a string, it has to have quotation marks. Remember, don't just leave one single quotation mark, or else it's going to think that this parenthesis is also a string, right? Now, if you run this, it's going to work. What's your favorite color? What should I type? I'll type red. I like that color too. So as you can see, it says red. I like that color too. Now, over here in the slide, we said X, like you can be stored inside a variable. Yes, the answer of the question. So I'm going to call the variable color. I'm going to set it equal to the question. And basically, the answer of the question will be stored inside the variable. So if I print out the variable, if I print out color, if I print out color, I'm going to get.
I signed up.
If I print out color right now, what am I going to get? Anyone? Okay, I'll just run it. So let's say blue this time. So now if I press enter, and if it's going to print out color, it's going to print out blue, the answer to the question. So the answer to whatever your question is here.
Where did you write blue though?
What?
But you never answered the question though. It's just answering it by itself.
No, I just answered it. Look, I can type in right here, right? Let's type green, or we can type in.
Oh, so you type in on the,
yeah.
the
The
screen.
person who's using the code types in the answer. Yeah. So I can type in even green. If I type in green, it's going to say green. I like that color too. So like that. Ashwin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
All right, there. So okay, let's go to the next. So you know, by the way, as you can see, the term is really useful in this situation because you can say green. I like that color too, instead of just saying I like that color too for everything, right? That's just an example. Okay.
All right. Everyone good, by the way? Everyone?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So the next thing we're going to be learning is mathematical operations. So fun fact about Python actually is that Python can be used as a calculator, like most programming languages. It can be used as a calculator. What does this mean? So basically any of the things that you would do in a normal calculator, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, you can actually do that in Python. So if you're doing homework or something, and if you want to know the answer to like, I don't know, 5 times 60, and you don't know what it is, you can just type it in Python and then print out the answer. It's super easy. And I'm going to show you what this looks like in REPL. All right, so I'm just going to.
No, wait, let me copy this.
Yeah. I'm making a variable here called x. And I'm set x equal to, let's say 4 plus 5. Oh, 4 plus 5. All right, this is obviously an example of addition. I'm pretty sure we've all heard of addition, subtraction, right? All right.
Who is it? Is it Akhilesh or?
Okay.
By the way, if you're gonna talk to someone else, can you please put your mic on mute?
Or Akhilesh, can you mute yourself?
Yeah, Akhilesh, I don't know who that is, but please put your mic on mute.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. All right. So we made a variable here called 4 plus 5, and I'm making another variable here called it y. I called it y, by the way, and I'm doing, let's say let's do a subtraction. Let's do 8 minus 3, right? This is an example of subtraction, right? Make another variable called z, or any you. I'm sorry. I'm telling make a variable. You can name this anything you want, all right? So I'm just calling it z, and set this equal to 3 times 5, which is a multiplication problem. By the way, this asterisk right here is a special character. If you press shift and then 8 on your computer, if you're on Windows, or if you're on a MacBook or something, you can press control and 8 and you get this little asterisk symbol, and that's like the multiplication symbol in Python. I'd make another variable. I'm make another one, I don't know, call it t, and I'm gonna do 6 divided by 3. And the division symbol is just like a forward slash. It's located on the bottom of your keyboard somewhere. It's a forward slash, and this is what division looks like in Python. So basically, what does this mean in terms of Python? So what Python does is it goes through this program. Okay, x. What is x equal? X equals 4 plus 5. And remember how I said Python can act as a calculator? So it actually calculates the answer to this. So what's 4 plus 5? Obviously, it's 9. So what Python does is like, okay, x equals 9. And it goes through and it does these mathematical operations right here. And the answer gets stored inside of a variable, inside of these variables, right? I'm gonna prove this to you by just printing out these variables right here. I'm just gonna print out these variables. It's gonna say print x, and the next one print y, print z, print t. And I'm just gonna run this program real quick. And you can see the answers to these math on the right side here. So first one, 4 plus 5, 9. So 9 is printed out right here. 8 minus 3 is 5, and 5 is printed out after that. After that is 3 times 5, which is 15. It's printed out right here. And then lastly, 6 divided by 3 is 2. And it prints out 2 right here. You might be wondering why is 2 written as a float instead of a normal number like the rest of them. It's because whenever Python does any sort of division or it comes across a division problem, it takes the answer and it puts it into a float. It makes it into a decimal number. If it's a normal number like 2, it's just 2.0. It makes it into a float. Why does it do this? Well, because when you're doing division problems, you're not only going to end up with whole numbers, you're going to end up with like fractions or decimals, right? An example, let's have a variable called g, and I set this equal to 2 divided by 4, right? This is not a whole number. This is 0.5, right? And here's the thing about Python. Python doesn't go here and it's like, okay, 6 divided by 3 is 2, so I'll make that an integer. And 2 divided by 4 is 0.5, so I'll make that a float. It doesn't do that. It goes through and it's like, oh, 6 divided by 3, 2.0. It just makes it into a float automatically. This won't affect any of your math, by the way. 2.0 is still equal to 2. I'm just saying it just because it looks different than this has a reason behind that, right? And another thing you can do with these mathematical operations here is you can actually like do it with these variables. So let's have x, right? And in this, I'm going to say x plus y. What this does here, so the value of x, we've learned here that the value of x right now is 9. And the value of y is 5. So what this does, it prints out the value to 9 plus 5, which is 14. So it should print out 14 right now. If I run this, it's right here, 14. And it's fun. It's a fun thing you can do where you can set variables to mathematical operations, and then you can just add them onto themselves. And obviously you can subtract as well. So let's say y minus z, right? And y, we know it's set to 5, and then z is 15. So this math right here basically translates to 5 minus 15, which is negative 10. So if I run this right now, it should print out negative 10. It does right here. This is a fun thing you can do. And I encourage you to, after this session ended, I encourage you to go and then just like try out different mathematical operations. Like there's a bunch more. It's not just limited to addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. If you do a little bit of research, you can find out there's like a ton more, and you can like experiment with them, and you can like play around with them. And yeah, it helps you build like your Python skills. Yeah. Any questions about that, by the way? Everyone got everything?
Someone actually raised their hand.
Oh, someone raised their hand.
They raised their hand. Yeah.
Can you do quadratic equations? Yes, you can if you know the formula, and if you know like all the different symbols that are used in Python, you can definitely do quadratic equations in here. By the way, if you don't know what quadratic equations are, don't worry. That's like higher level math stuff. But if you do, just remember that yes, if you know the formula for the quadratic equation, you can absolutely do it in Python. All right. Could I do one? Jaishnav, do you know the quadratic equation?
What?
The quadratic equation, do you know it?
Remember, like if you want to do like quadratic equation, you can like store it in a function. Then after that, you can run the function, right?
It's not coming correct for me.
We're gonna do functions in like the last section. We're gonna be teaching that, so we might be able to show you guys an example of quadratic equations then. You want?
It's not coming correct for me.
It's not coming correctly for you? What exactly is not coming? Can you explain?
Oh, when I press run, it says like it's error.
Yeah, what error?
Ricky, did you put x equal to this, and then like did you follow
that?
Make a variable, set it equal to any like mathematical operation, and then just print out the variable. That's it. You don't need to print out the whole mathematical equation once you set it to a variable.
Okay.
Okay. Is that it? Questions? Okay, let's move on. Okay, next I'm going to be talking about string operations and comments. So string operations are basically like you can use like multiple strings together to make sentences. Like you can use strings with integers, strings with any other data type, strings with variables together in one print statement. So I'm going to be showing that here. I'm taking this out. Okay. So over here, we're coming back to this that we covered in the user input thing, right? So when we run this, what happens? Asks for a color, type in whatever color, right? Says red, I like that color too. You don't need, if you know string operations, you don't need a separate line that prints the color and then prints I like that color too. You can take this out here and you can make a string operation. So instead of saying I like that color too, you can say I like, then you have to have a plus sign. You have to have a plus sign in string operations, right? And then color, which is the variable, the name of the variable, and then space, another plus sign because you're adding it to the other string, and then you, oops. As you can see, this is basically considered one string. This is another string, and this is a variable. So strings with variables in this one print statement right here. We print this out. What happens? Let's say green this time. Why not? I like green too. As you can see, there's no space in between like and green and green and two. That's because we have to have a space before the two and a space after the like. If we do that, we're going to have a space after the like, right? And then a space after the green. Basically, before the two is also the same as after the green, right? So, any questions? Any questions? I guess no. Well, I guess you guys all got this down then. How to use the plus signs and everything. But we're still not done. Okay, so next I'm gonna be talking about what if your answer to the question is a number, right? So let's say what's your favorite number instead? Put number here as the variable. Why not? You can call the variable anything, right? And I don't wanna say I like that number too. That's kinda, I'm gonna put something. Let's say your favorite number plus 4 is, then now it's the plus sign because you're adding it to the integer, I mean to the variable, right? Number plus 4. So basically the answer plus, so the answer to the question, which is going to be the variable, right? Plus 4 is whatever you're going to print out. So if you say 3 here, it should print out your favorite number plus 4 is 7. It should not print out just 3, right? Because 3 plus 4 is not just 3, it's 7. So over here, and we have this in a separate parentheses here because if you take out this parentheses, it's more like, you know, it's more like a whole string operation rather than a mathematical operation. So you're basically having a mathematical operation inside these parentheses that is inside this whole string operation. So now if I print this out, let's say 3, right? It is going to show me an error. One thing, these are the main things that you have to focus on for, right? First, you have to have int here with the parentheses here and with 1 at the end. So basically inside the int, there's the input with the question. Why we have an int here? Int stands for integer. That means basically if you make a variable, you can only do one data type. So basically over here, this whole thing is basically a string without the integer part, without the int part, right? But you're asking them what their favorite number is, so they have to answer it as a number. That's why we're changing the whole variable into an integer by just saying int on the outside. Or else it'll be a string, and then you can't calculate the string plus 4 because nothing's gonna happen, right? And also one more thing, over here, you need to have a string. Same reason. Over here, why do we have an integer? Because you can only have one type. If you're having a string, then the whole thing's a string, or the whole thing's an integer, or the whole thing's a float. Over here, if you didn't have the string, this would be an integer, and this would be a string. So if you have the str here, which stands for string, then both of these would be strings. So then these two are basically, so over here, you see this error, right? Can only concatenate str, not int to str, right? That's because you have to have, the whole thing has to be one string or one integer or something like that. So that's why we have the str here and the int here. Now if we run this, what's your favorite number? Let's say 56. 56 plus 4 is basically 60. So saying your favorite number plus 4 is 60. So now it runs perfectly, right? So any questions so far? This is kind of like a hard part of the lesson.
Can you repeat why you have to put the str in front of number plus 4?
Okay, so do you know why we put the int here?
Yes.
Okay, it's the same reason. It's the same reason. So the whole thing has to be an integer or a string or a float or something, right? As you can see over here, this is a string. But this over here, without the str, is an integer, right? So that's why we're putting the str here to change this into a string as well. Because then both of them will be strings. And that's why it's called string operation, because the whole thing is going to be just filled with strings, right? That's why we have the str here to change this integer into basically a string. So once it calculates the number plus 4, which is going to be 60, it's just going to be mentioned as a string. So it's just going to say your favorite number plus 4 is 60, right? That's why. And you can also do this with floats. say float. Instead of numbers, let's put decimal numbers. So let's say 4.1. Your favorite number plus 4.1 is what? So with floats, you can only put decimal numbers. So if you just do 2, it works. You just do 2.0, that also works. But if you did not put float here and you only put int, it wouldn't work because you have to have a decimal number, right? So let's say you put 4.56. 4.56 plus 4.1 here is 8.66. So any questions so far still? Or is everyone good? Good. I'm guessing everyone got it down. So I'll move on. Okay, our next thing is about comments. Comments are little notes in your program that only you can see. You're the programmer, you're the one who's coding it. Only you can see it. They're really, really useful. So a comment can be made with a hashtag. A hashtag, you can make a hashtag with the shift button and the N3, the shift key and 3, the 3 key on a Windows, and on a Mac you have to use the control key and the 3 key. You do that, you'll get the hashtag, and then with the hashtag you can say whatever you want. So this line of code, but what does this line of code do? Well, this line of code asks the user for the number, right? Well, that's just like a side note, basically, like a comment on what this line of code does. Then now you can say a comment for this line. Say this line of code. What does this line of code do? Now this line of code prints the user's number plus 4.1, right? Yeah, as you can say, it's a comment. So even people who don't know Python, they can just come and look at the comment and be like, oh, so this line of code right here, what it does is it asks the user what their favorite number is, and this line of code here prints out the user's numbers plus 4.1. Okay, now I get it. So people will get it. So the people who don't even know Python can get it. So there's another type of comment actually. So let's take this line out for now. Okay. This comment it's known as the triple quotes. You have to have 3. So triple is basically 3, right? So 3 single quotes here. Then you can have like 3 single quotes here. So basically, what it helps you do, what the 3 single quotes help you do is like, okay, I don't want to print this out now. I'll print it out later. It's like that. So if you don't want to print this line out now, you want to print it out later, then like if you're still working on this line of code or something, you want to put it out later, then you can put it in this. So basically what it does, it turns it into a comment. So basically it won't affect the code in any other way, right? You can also, you don't even need to do this with just one line. You can do it with multiple lines like this. Put it under this, right? You'll have it under 2 lines. You can do it with however many lines you want. You don't have to put this line of code as, so this line of code. You can write anything in the comments as well, right? You can say this code, right? This whole code does something, right? It asks the user for the number. You can also type in, it also prints out what their favorite number plus 4.1 is, right? So basically the triple quotes acts as something where you're still experimenting on what you're doing in your code. And also the comments can be used to organize your code. Like if you have like a lot of code, right? Like I once had a lot of code, even Ashwin, we had some projects that we were doing in school, and we had like a lot of code. So we had to like organize it, right? So that's what we did. We used the comments to organize our code. We had a lot of comments. Even the teachers could understand. They could come in and be like, oh, this is a nice code. I see what it does, without even running. So look, even if we run this, right, the comments doesn't affect anything. If I just write 5.6, it doesn't affect anything. The comments don't affect anything. So that's it for today's session. We're gonna have 3 more sessions after this. So they're on Sundays, right? 4 to 3. I mean 3 to 4. Sorry. Sundays 3 to 4. 3 more sessions after this. And we have homework for today's session. Oh wait, no, by the way, does anyone have questions on the comments or anything that we went over, that I went over right now?
If you have any questions, please ask. These are like, I know this might seem like kind of like obvious, but these are like the basics of Python. You have to like really know these concepts if you want to have a grasp of like Python going forward. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah.
So for homework, you guys are going to construct a code that asks the user what their first name is, and then it asks the user for what their last name is. And then after that, you have to print nice to meet you, and then the user's first name or last name. So if I were to use the code, it should say, what's your first name? And then I'm going to say Jaishnav. What's your last name? I'm going to say Vijay Kumar. And then after that, it has to print nice to meet you, Jaishnav Vijay Kumar. So Ashwin will now show you guys the output, not what you should write for the code, but just how it should look like in the end. All right. So Ashwin, tell me when you're ready to share.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah. Wait, actually 1 minute. Yeah, I'm good.
So this homework actually goes over almost what we've learned, almost all of what we've learned.
All right.
Here.
I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. All right. Everyone see? All right. So here the program asks you, what is your first name, right? So I'm gonna write in my first name. My first name is Ashwin. So I'm gonna write it in like that. And I'm gonna press enter. And then the program asks you, what is your last name? So then I write in my last name, which is Kumaran. Write in like that. And then if I press enter right now, it should tell you, nice to meet you. And then my first name followed by my last name. Notice how there's a space between nice to meet you, my first name, and then my first name and my last name. Make sure it's like this and make sure it's in this order. Nice to meet you, first name, last name. This actually goes over everything that we've learned over today. So it goes over variables, data types, string operations. So it's like a master program like with all the things that we've learned. So I encourage you to attempt this. If you have any questions, you can ask them. I mean, if you have any questions with this homework, you can like save them for next session where we will go over the code for this. So don't worry if you don't get it. And yeah, it's basically how this homework should look like. Any questions right before we end this off? Any questions what the homework is?
In session 2, we will go over how the code should look like for this output.
Yeah.
Okay, so no one has questions, I guess. So everyone excited to do the homework?
I have a question.
Huh? Yes.
So if you go to the REPL and it says the https:// and the like the website thing that if you go into a new tab, type it in, it'll show you. But it's not allowing, it just keeps saying can't reach this page.
Which one? This? Go to repo.it, repo.it, not .com or .org.
Sorry, say that again.
Repo.it. Can you see it over here? What I'm highlighting?
Yeah.
Yeah, repo.it. Search that up. And then. I think everyone like went over whatever we did, like the examples. I think they noted it down enough. We tried it out. But repo.it, if you do not like do it when we like, go to repo.it and then make an account, make a new repo. All that. Did you get it yet?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, well, we're done with today's session.
All right.
Hi, Jaishnav. You did a good job teaching everybody Python and the basics of it. Also, I'll be joining next week's meeting, okay?
Thanks, bro.
Bye.
You understand
Bye.
everything?
Bye.
Jerry, did you understand everything?
Thank you, Sona.
Yeah.
I understand.
Good job, Jaishnav.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye, Jaishnav.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you.
So Jerry, you're gonna make a game. You're gonna
A
make.
game of what? Oh, you mean the one that I'm gonna use with the Raspberry Pi?
No, are you gonna make anything with Python? You're gonna try
I have
the
one device. Yeah, I have one device that can use Python and script it.
Nice.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Jason.
Ashwin and I made a game. So I made a drawing game. Ashwin made like a Pokemon game using Python.
This is information.
It was pretty fun. It was like a project in our computer science class in high school. It was pretty fun.
Oh, okay. I'm looking forward to see your games. Bye.
Yeah, next week or the week after that, I think we might have a game as a homework, a number guessing game as a homework.
Okay, good. Bye.
Bye.
Good job, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you, Jaishnav.
Yeah. Sorry, my Wi-Fi got cut in the middle of the meeting. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Jay.
Yeah, great job, Jaishnav and Ashwin. You guys did the really good work today. We're looking forward for our 3 weeks. We have the same session, right? So definitely it will be helpful for everyone. So thanks a lot. And
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Back down.
okay.
Oh, we're done. Bro, Ashwin. We're done.
We completely done?
That was good, bro. That was so good. Alright.
Bruh, that was good. I like it.
Alright, so 3 more seconds. We got
What?
We got 3 more sessions. Last session should be easier, right? They're making like a project at the
Yeah, true.
Well, how many people attended today?
I don't know. When I checked, it was 31. Right? I don't know if everyone attended. Okay.
Live on YouTube.
Oh, it's live. It's still live.
Yeah, still live on YouTube.
Oh, this part's still live.
Alright, we're leaving. Bye.
I gotta leave too.
Wait, stop it.
Just leave.
Just leave it. Okay, bye.
Bye.